Today is the first ride of week 2 of my 30-day Ride Anyway challenge. And the focus today is on getting Polo to move off of my inside leg, particularly my left leg, a little bit better. So I'm no expert by any means, but I felt a difference. So let's watch the video and see if we can see it. I decided to use a dressage whip during this ride. And as you can tell, Polo is not exactly sure what to think of that. You know, he's used to the jockey whips at the track encouraging him to go forward. And I want to use this just to get him off of my leg, to actually bend around my leg. I've really struggled to get him to move off of my left leg in particular. So I thought I would just use the dressage whip to kind of reinforce the idea. But this is literally right after I got on. He was really anxious about it. And, you know, I could have made him stand still instead of trot right off. But sometimes with thoroughbreds, especially young thoroughbreds, and maybe it's the same with other breeds, I'm not sure. I'm just more familiar with thoroughbreds myself. It If you make them stand still when they're a little in their head, it can work out in a worse way for you. So my thought here was, all right, let's, as he gets used to the sight of the whip, and you know, it bounces off of my leg a little bit. I'm trying to hold it still, but just the nature of having it there, it does move around. So instead of making him stand still to get used to it, I just let him move forward, just to give his little brain something else to focus on as well. So here he's starting to settle down a little bit, but he's definitely more on edge than normal. So, but there, he almost stepped underneath himself. So you can see his going to the left. No matter how much leg I put on him, he just wants to fall in. And here he's still pretty much ignoring me, and I'm kind of balancing out, trying to get him to stay somewhat relaxed versus moving over. Now there he took at least one good step over. So now he's I wouldn't say that he's settled, but here I decided to let him walk over the poles because that is kind of his comfort zone. Like, he knows what that job is. And so anytime we're in the indoor and he starts getting a little too stressed, I'll just let him walk over the poles, and that gets his mind off of whatever I'm doing that might be worrying him a little bit. So he's starting to settle a little bit. His strides are still, or his steps are still, you know, pretty choppy and tense, but at least he's willing to walk instead of trot off like he's a trotting racehorse. And there, that was his decision to trot. I didn't do anything to ask for that, but I decided to just roll with it. Give him a little bit more time. You can see he's starting to slow down a little bit in his brain. And I think about here, I'm posting too fast, but I am trying to get myself to slow it down to keep the rhythm a little bit more consistent and slower. So his steps will be a little bit slower. That's just something that I have to try to stay mindful of and always keep that at the forefront of my brain. Um, I once had a trainer years ago tell me that my brain is like a hamster on crack. And I always have that image in my head because she was right on. That's exactly. Okay, here we go. So there I asked him to move over. And you can see he, from this angle, it's hard to see, but he did step over a little bit, and then his neck dropped down at the same time. So that's what we're going for. I want him to use his back a little bit and kind of lift those cervical vertebrae right at the base of the neck. I want those to lift up a little bit. So he's carrying me just a little bit better. He already puts himself in such a cute little frame, but it's a false frame because he's not using his hind end yet, but that will take time and strength. So, but yeah, I mean, right there, he's definitely starting to reach under a little bit better. And here I'm working on ensuring that my hands are going with him, so he takes a little bit of a lengthened stride. And here I'm asking him to just kind of stretch down a little bit. And we're so close to getting some steps over. There are some birds in that corner. So if you notice, that's where he really wants to cut in. And there are some birds. They're up in the gutter on the outside, and they are so noisy. And I don't know how to get up there to clean out whatever nest or whatever they have up there. So we're just going to have to learn to deal with it for now. And here, yep, every time I come through the turn, I'm asking him to just bend around my left leg and maybe step that left hind underneath himself. And there, yeah, it's so hard from this angle, but he did it a tiny bit. And you could tell by seeing the rest of his shape and how he just kind of rounded up through his top line a little bit more as he stepped underneath himself. And there he got himself a little bit worked up again as we changed directions and I changed the side that the whip was on. And so, yep, he's back to thinking short, choppy strides and a little bit of anxiety coming through. And there, I'm able to get him to move over a little bit better with my right leg, but he's still on today, for whatever reason, he was really cutting the corners. And it's not like I'm trying to push him into the corner. There we go. Yeah, good. So he took a couple good steps there. So I'm not necessarily trying to push him into the corners. I'm just trying to get him to wrap around my inside leg just a little bit. And, I mean, look how cute he is. He's trying. He wants to figure it out. He's a little concerned about the whip maybe, and just a little bit unsure. But at this point in the ride, he's starting to take some deep breaths with some big blowouts. I think he's realizing that I'm not going to make him go anywhere fast. He clearly does not want to do that. And here I am again, kind of over exaggerating, moving my hands with him. Well, I was, and then I quit. And then I started focusing on trying to get him to step over. Which you can tell, yeah, look at his frame now compared to what it was when we started. And, I know he's not the fanciest mover in general, but look at how much further he is starting to track up with his hind end. So even though I'm not getting, there we go, big step over, I'm not getting quite the proper leg yields that I wish I could get at this point. That will definitely come with time and practice and muscles and flexibility and understanding. But he is definitely getting looser through his body. Now there, he's very tense again. The pivot keeps losing me. I put a cavesson on my bridle as I'm trying to get him to halt a little bit better. Like he always comes back to me when I ask him to, but he just drags on in his halt. So I thought maybe a cavesson would help him not gape his mouth wide open. It's nice and loose, but it seemed to help a little bit today. But yeah, I hope you can see the difference in his gait from the beginning. Yeah, there. Yeah. So that was really good. I was really proud of him there. And he took a great big breath around this corner and just released some of that tension that he had been holding as he realized that, oh, maybe this isn't quite as complicated as what I thought it was. And yeah, even there you can see he's starting to reach under a little bit. And now his body is in a much truer frame. Come on, stop. It's like, nope. I gave you enough already today. I'm not stopping. There we go. Good job, Polo. And unfortunately, my camera died before the end of the ride. But I hope that you can see the difference from the beginning until the end. So, yeah, we'll do some more work on that next time, and hopefully we can get outside to ride sometime this week. But thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!